Hello ladies and gentlemen, SeKo Starcraft bringing you some pro games here. This one's back slightly. This is just from the finals of the WCS Season 2. I'm trying to pull out some of the games that I really enjoyed watching. This is down here, Acer's MMA versus Toss Imba, which is actually Acer's Scarlett. Really enjoyed watching Scarlett in the last WCS run. She made it, I believe, to the round of 8. I don't remember exactly when she took on MMA, but it was essentially in the finals there live. And I watched it live, and I thought it was fantastic to see. Which I think what this was Scarlett in her prime, and I hope she still has some room to grow because I want to see her obviously at the top again. But she went up against the best of the absolute best, and proved that she deserves to be there. And in this case, two teammates, they probably know each other very well. And I really enjoyed the style that Scarlett was bringing to the table against Terran players. It was something that was very aggressive, it was unconventional, and it was really designed to try to put yourself ahead as a Zerg player by making sure that the Terran doesn't have the opportunity to really control the map. Sometimes as a Zerg player, you really want to sit back and get up that huge economy. We see that sometimes with players like Hellion or Life that just either go for some sort of like cheese pressure, or they go for a really huge macro and get to a point where you just can't beat them. But unfortunately, if you go up against some of the top Terran players like MMA or Innovation, what you'll find is that they hit this stride in their macro and their production at the same instance, and they match that with their top level control. And you can't really beat them out with any type of just simple macro versus macro. We're going to go late game and see who comes out best. It's just super hard. Terran is very cost effective, and if you can't get in there and do the economic damage required, they're just going to find ways to just beat you back more slowly and, you know, gradually and over and over and over. This was obviously when the metagame was not on hellbats, it was on widowmines and bio, which is the current metagame until we see this next patch that should be up shortly after BlizzCon, which I believe is in early November. Once that happens, we're going to see the way that Terran and Zerg play probably change. I don't see any way it can't, though it's still up in the air how this widowmine nerf is really going to affect things. It's been changed to a true splash of like full 40 damage in a more condensed range, and then it goes out from there, lower and lower damage. Which, we'll see how that turns out. I know they're testing it right now, and I'm eager to see the difference between current widowmines, the first test of widowmines, and what this next phase will be. See a barracks into factory. I've seen some Terran players get caught, particularly by Zerg players. They go a little bit too quickly for the upgrade on the barracks. We'll see if he wants to throw down his reactor when he hits 50 here. Yeah, there it is. Getting out those hellions is obviously super important. No, mouse. But for instance, if there was 10 lings here, those marines die. There's nothing here to defend this, and it is going to be a long time before anything else comes back out, so essentially your natural is forfeit. I saw a really great game that Life did that, I believe it was to MMA, and just told MMA doing that. It's just super greedy. So we look at what the Zerg player is doing here. Looks like it's just time to take the gases, getting the creeps spread between the bases. There's this really interesting style difference you can see between Zerg players and how fast that creep gets moved. We can see that there's just this stage right now where Scarlett wants to move this creep because, you know, it's just a little bit more relevant at this stage of the game, getting towards the third. We've seen Zerg players that love to use the first bit of queen energy to drop that creep tumor, so immediately they have that creep to deal with any type of fast hellions and reaper play. And we vice versa, we see people that go with no creep whatsoever. My play style is generally to get just enough creep to get to the bases, mostly because that's about all the APM I can afford. and then keep moving my active trooper slowly. So you usually see that one long stream of creep that just goes down the map off of one string of tumors, and woo, this could be unfortunate. Target fire. You can see she actually tried to target fire down the one weakened Hellion. Nice surround by Scarlett. You need the 3 Hellions in order to one-shot the drone, so taking out that one Hellion so there's 2 left makes a really big difference in how effective it's going to be. It looks like we're actually going to still have a hellbat foot drop here. Very strange. I'm pretty sure this was... Yeah, this is pre-nerf. So no, this is after the nerf. But when you have 4 of them together, you know, sometimes that just works out. Shifting around of all the buildings. Sometimes it's nice to have a supply depot up here, just so that way if somebody wants to hit a Nidus Worm, you can see it. Doesn't make it easy to snipe with Mutalisks though, obviously. Creep from Scarlett's doing very well, has 2 dedicated queens for the creep, 1 queen at every single hatch still. It would be nice to get creep in the main base. Actually took a lot of damage on that first medevac there. Now, you might think that she lost a lot of Zerglings there, but in all honesty, that was a big play from MMA to go for that drop. He almost lost on medevac, lost those 3 of those hellbats, and back at home he's essentially got no army building up. So there's really no pressure he's going to be putting onto the map for quite some time. It wouldn't surprise me to see maybe even a 4th base starting to go down here soon from Scarlett, just because she's in such a great spot. She's got the money though, might want to make a few extra overlords just to keep herself safe on that side. Having the Viking out on the map to chase down overlords, always super, super awesome. Almost got there in time to stop it. I do like Zerg players that get out the really fast burrow. Just allowing them to block those bases sooner, waste scans. Just tax a little bit more time. Just keeping our own watchtowers, which is extremely important. You're going to see those Hellion run-bys. You're going to be able to see any really sloppy medevac pushes. Spore in each base. Not that there's going to likely be any type of, you know, Banshee play, but that one Spore will take care of those medevacs from being too pesky. We can see neither player really pushing out a ton of supply just yet, even though we're at about the 11-minute mark, simply because you can see this production tab of both players is mostly upgrades. Terran's starting to hit a bit of a macro stride, but they're still building workers. We see this big pile of spent overlords here, so that way as the spire goes up, we should see a big push of mutas come out here pretty quick. Yeah, she could afford 8 at first. It's interesting to see how Zerg players like to do their rallies. It looks like a spider web eventually of everything. It's like things are kind of rallied into her natural. Still, I'm a little surprised she hasn't sent them out to the front a bit more. So only the 2nd kill for that Viking. There's overlords all over the place right now, but now that the mutas are out to take care of this Viking, there really isn't as much worry for Scarlett to lose more of those overlords. That scan kind of missed the active creep tumors, which is very unfortunate. I'll have to use one more. Oh, good spot. Very nice control there by MMA. Doesn't lose any of his workers. I've seen Terrans lose everything. If you lose an entire base like that to just one Baneling run by, yeah, you're just, you're sad at that point. Just sad. Try to catch those mutas. Slick enough just to get them out of there. Terran player's in a pretty good macro stride right now. He's a little bit behind on the upgrades, but he does have a really great selection of production facilities out now. It's going to help him out a lot with getting the advantage that he wants. The nice mix-in of tanks here is definitely going to be worthwhile. You can't see Scarlett busting into this anytime too soon, though you can see her supply really start to push up here now. Creeps back on progress. Yeah, it's only 25 energy. These queens build up really fast, drop a whole pile. Now what's very important is that, once again, Scarlett has the pressure on the Terran player, so she gets to dictate the pace a bit more. She can use these Mutalisks for attack rather than just for defense, which is how you see so often Mutalisks used in this matchup, just because you don't really have another choice. You need them to snipe the widowmines, take out tanks, or anything like that. We can see there's a lot of workers getting killed here. There's a missile turret down, but there's enough. So yeah, there's enough mutas here that she can take this trade a bit more. That full bunker, though, is going to push her back. Big arc of pressure here from the Zerg player, trying to bait out those widowmine shots. You can see the minimap, all this red moving around there. Actually loses 2 mutas in that, which isn't ideal. Another drop on this side actually gets cleaned up pretty quick. And it's important for MMA to do that. MMA is known for its drops and has got to keep the Zerg player moving around. She's on 5 bases. Static defense is going down everywhere. I'm so happy to see Zerg players when they do that. If you've got the money, nothing sucks more than having something like this happen and it just pisses you off. There's no other way to really describe it. It just pisses you off. Oopsies. Oh, wow. That was a pretty big widowmine hit there. And you see all she's really doing is pushing the Terran further and further back home. Wasted a lot of banelings on that Thor, but the Thor was a very expensive unit that really wanted to deal with. Mutas are going to come in and snipe these tanks. These tanks have been a thorn on her side for quite a while on this game, and she actually managed to break through a lot of this. Took out a lot of the tanks. The supplies are pretty even, but a lot of the very valuable tech pieces here from the Zerg player, the Terran player, have been killed off. Still doing some nice drops up here. This one guy's got quite a few kills just for one Marine. She will want to deal with these drops though. She did a bit of damage, not a lot of economic damage, but enough to let her feel comfortable in trying to regain control over this map. Terran player really needs to get that dominance out there. He's going to try to take out a little bit of this creep. But you can see he didn't even have enough units to get all the creep tumors while he pushed out there. Great overlord spread all over the map, just to be able to see anything coming. When you have this mutaflock, you can deal with the Vikings that are going to be out there. It's too expensive for the Terran to try to make Vikings all over the map to deal with this stuff. Sniping the widowmine, very important. Widowmines actually have a very fast movement speed, so it's very common to see them get out in front of the army. Triggers the widowmine shot, and it's just going to take the trade. Wow, that was a huge hit there. That took out like 5 widowmines and a lot of supply. And that was the GG from MMA. Great game by Scarlett. This is a best of 3 though, and I should be back with the next game in the series for you guys right away.